So our project 2 will be based off of our project in the chapter 2 of our Revit book. We'll use this floor plan, referencing it throughout this project. So to start, they're going to be asking us to start a new project using the architectural template. So we'll go to File, New, choose Architectural, and click OK. Then we're asked to create a wall from the Architectural tab using the generic 12-inch wall type and change its height from the 20 feet to 9 feet using the Finish Face Exterior. So from the Architectural tab, we'll hit Wall, 12-inch, generic, and we'll change the unconnected height to 9 feet. Location line will be Finish Face Exterior. And I have had a little problem with this. Make sure yours doesn't have this. In the properties for this wall, my base offset says -9 feet. This should be set to 0. Mine has been flipping on me lately, just to make sure yours is not doing the same thing. Then we can draw our wall going from left to right, and basically a counterclockwise fashion. We'll be building these walls to make sure the exterior of the wall is on the outside. The first one's going to be at 48 feet, so I type in 48, enter. And then our next wall will be 26. So we'll move the mouse down and type in 26 and hit enter. So move it down, 26, and enter. And then we'll continue drawing. Notice the witness line that's going vertically to the end, and place another wall point, and then close it by clicking on the endpoint of the existing wall up top. This will be the boundary of our wall. So when I select a wall, just to note a couple options here. You'll notice these double arrows. The double arrows are on the exterior of the wall. If I click it, you'll see the wall flips, so the exterior is on the inside of the building. This is a good indicator to show you where your walls are and that you have the exterior walls on the outside. Now, if you have interior walls, of course, it doesn't matter which is the interior exterior in most cases. But for exterior walls, you want to make sure these little double arrows are on the outside of your building. Now we're asked to draw a generic 5-inch wall using the center line as the wall placement. So we'll go to Architectural tab, Wall. Going to make it also 9 feet. Change it to Wall Center Line. And then they're asking us to start at the midpoint of the right wall here. So we're going to go to the midpoint, and we're going to make the wall 20 feet 2.5 inches. So from the midpoint of the wall, we got to choose our wall type first. 5-inch generic. And go 20 feet 2.5 inches, and hit enter. Now we'll hit escape twice here, or this will complete that one wall. Now I'm going to draw the wall one more wall going from top to bottom. So if I click on wall again, if I hover over the edge of the end of the wall, you'll see this witness line. And then I want to start the wall from where that witness line intersects the wall above it. So I can know I'm drawing near the end of that wall, starting with this wall, and draw one wall going down. And then we're asked to draw 2 interior walls for the bathroom yet. This was like the image here we had on the first page, roughly a 10-foot by 7-foot bathroom. So go back to Revit using the generic wall. I'm going to start at about 10 feet away from the right side wall. If I hover there, I'll see I get a temporary dimension that says near. And I'll start at 10 feet, then I go to 7 feet, and then finish clicking on the wall itself. So this is our basic rough outline of our house. Now we're going to be asked to insert some doors into our building. We're going to start with a 36 by 80 inch door. We're going to place one in the living room, 2 near the center wall of the bedroom, and then another one on the bathroom of a different size. So in the Architectural tab, we'll click on Doors, select the 36 by 80, and place it in the living room area. Now note, depending on which side of the wall you have your mouse, places the door on that side of the wall. So if I click on the inside here, places the inside, and yet we still want to flip it. So these little arrows will flip the door in the direction that's pointing. So if I click on this set of arrows, it'll flip it left to right. The other set will flip it top to bottom. So we'll place 2 more doors on the bedrooms on the inside, and then this one we have to flip. Don't be too worried about the position at this time. We'll adjust that later with actual dimensioning later on. And then they ask us to change our type selector to 30 by 80 and insert it in the bathroom. And that was like, so the door swings against the wall, the small partition wall. So I change the type selector to a 30 by 80. And flip it. And that's all we need to do for the doors at this time. Now we're going to be inserting windows, 236 by 72 in the living room. So on the Architectural tab again, we'll go to Windows, change your type to a 36 by 72, and place these in the living room. Now windows also have an inside and outside. Make sure when you're placing your windows that you have it nearest the outside wall. So we'll place 2 of them, roughly in the middle of each wall. Now to ensure that they're correct, if I click the window I should see those double arrows again. They should be in the exterior face of the wall. If they were on the inside, make sure to flip them so they're on the outside. Next, we'll be doing 24 by 72 and placing 4 in the living room. One's going to be near the door, 2 on either side of the bottom wall, the south wall, and 1 to the south of the left wall window. And that was on page 1. So we'll do the 24 by 72. Oops, change that back for the other window. Escape once. Now I'm going to do the windows again. Make sure to set it to 24 by 72. There we go. Make sure it's on the exterior face. And place the 4 windows. Then we're asked to change it to a 24 by 48 and place 2 in each bedroom in the corners and 1 in the bathroom. Make sure to set your sill height to 3 feet. As you notice, the previous windows were very tall windows and the sill height was 1 foot off the ground. So these other ones, the 24 by 36 inch windows, or 24 by 48. The sill height is at 3. Make sure it is set to that. one in the bathroom, one near the corners, and making sure to keep on the exterior face of the building. Now we're going to add a roof. We're going to go to the Architectural tab, do the drop down under Roof, and choose Roof by Footprint. Right now it's telling us that we are trying to create a roof on the lowest level. Would you like to create it in level 2? This would make sense. You don't want the roof on your floor. So we're going to be able to still draw the roof in this view, but it will be moved to level 2 after it's been created. So we'll say yes. So for the boundary lines, I'm going to select the Pick Walls option. And then make sure to select the exterior face of the wall to start. Do not select the inside, or else your roof will be based off the inside of the walls themselves. So go around, selecting those 4 walls. It's now created an enclosed shape. This is important, as a roof must be a completely enclosed profile for it to work. You can't have overlapping lines, you can't have gaps or anything like that. After you're done drawing your roof, you hit the green check. Now it looks like nothing happened, but if I go to a 3D view, to go to one, you can either go to the little house in the upper corner and click on default 3D view, or you can go to the View tab, click the drop down, and hit default 3D view. And you should see a 3D view of your house with the roof. And note that there's probably going to be a gap between the upper of the walls and the roof. We'll save this later for other exercise practice. So Project 1 starts with the end of our Chapter 2 exercise. Now all these things won't necessarily be able to be done in this exact order. There are some reasons that it will take some understanding of how Revit works to accomplish some of these exercises. So first we're asked to add a new level to top of roof and rename the levels as well. So level 1 will be renamed to FFE, level 2 top of wall, and so forth and so on. And then we'll probably also need to rename our views themselves accordingly. So I'm going to go to a south elevation. In the project browser, click on south, and I'll see my level 2. And I'm going to go ahead, click on the line, and hover over the little circle next to the large circle here to be able to drag the level extension closer. Now it's a little cropped together. So my first thing is I'm going to drag and create a new level. So if I hold down Control, I can click and drag that level 3 up. Now notice there's that little dotted line. That's my witness line. I want to make sure that line's there. You don't want to be far off to any one side where the witness line doesn't show. This will keep everything nice and aligned and locked together. So now if I drag the line, all 3 of them go together. Next, we want to rename this top of roof. So I'm going to select the level, double click on it, and rename it TO roof. I'm going to rename this one TO for top of wall. And then I come up with this question: would you like to rename corresponding views? I'm going to say no. The reason is I want to rename these views, and they're going to be different from the actual names of the levels themselves. Level 1 will be FFE for finished foundation elevation. And say no again. Now I can start to rename my floor plans. So the floor plan view would be floor plan. Level 2 will become my roof plan. Level 1 will become my reflected ceiling plan, or REFC plan, or you can also name it as ceiling plan. These will be the 3 plan views we will eventually be putting on our sheets. So this kind of covers a couple things. So we've created a new level, we've renamed our levels. Also, the naming of our views in the sheets, we've accomplished that on a few of them now. So we're going to be asked to create a ceiling at 8 feet in the bathroom and 10 feet throughout. The first one is not going to be a problem. So let's go to my ceiling plan. I'm going to go to the Architectural tab, go to Ceiling. I'm going to use the compound ceiling, the 2 foot by 4 foot ACT for acoustic ceiling tile. Yes, we don't use this normally in buildings for residential, but we're going to use it for this plan so we can see the actual texture and know we've placed one. I'm going to leave it on the automatic ceiling placement, then click where the bathroom is. And I see it adds the tiles in there with the pattern. Now if I hover over the living room and I place one of them, oops, that's also 8 feet. I don't want an 8 foot, so we're asked to put it at 10 feet. Now I'm getting, at 10 feet, I'm getting the arrow pointer. It's basically saying it can't place it. And I click and nothing happens. So what's happening, if you remember, the book had us make their walls at 9 feet. So we're trying to place the ceiling higher than our walls. So we must make some adjustments to our walls so the program can find the ceilings, or the boundary for the ceilings. So let's go to a 3D view and see what's going on here. So there's the gap at 9 feet to the roof. I'm going to extend these walls to the roof or attach them to the roof. So if I highlight over one of the walls and hit tabs, it'll allow me to select through a bunch of options. So with one wall, just hovering over it, I hit tab once, you'll see it highlights all the chain of walls connected to it. If I click, it'll select that chain of walls. Now we have the option with the walls selected. It says attach top/base. So we're going to attach the walls to the roof, and then I click on the roof. So now it's extended the walls up to the roof. So that makes it up to at least the 10-foot mark. Now if we go back to our floor plan, or sorry, ceiling plan, I can try to place the ceiling again. Ceilings, automatic, but it's not doing it just in the living room. I can see that. Why is that? Now you got to remember these walls were also at 9 feet. So it's going to the exterior, which is fine for that, but we want it to be just the ceiling in the living room and just the bedrooms individually. So let's go back to a 3D view. And we have to adjust those interior walls. So one of the good things to find out about Revit is hiding and unhiding things. So if I select an element and right-click on it, I can hide an element in view, and it will hide it. Now I can select all these interior walls by holding down Control and clicking on them. Nope, did not get the window. Try it again. Wall, wall, wall. Those 4 walls. And I'm going to change the height, not to 10 feet, but I'm going to change it to 10 foot 1. Because I need the wall to be slightly higher than where the ceiling placement is. Because the ceilings are based off the level they're at and they go up. So I'm going to say 10 foot 1. So now, if I go to a floor or my ceiling plan view, I click on Architectural tab, Ceilings, and I hover over that living room. I see it only outlines in the living room. So now I can place it in the living room. Now what happened? It says none of the created elements are visible. So it created the element, but it is not visible. Why is that? So I go to my ceiling plan, and what happens in Revit, you're in a 3D space, and each view only shows a certain range of that view. So with the ceiling plan selected, scroll down about halfway and look for view range and hit edit. The view depth, it's a little hard to understand what's happening, but the view depth, this is kind of upside down for ceiling plans, where we want to see above the wall. So the view depth, unlike this image, really the ceiling's at the bottom with ceiling plans and the floor is up top. So our view depth is this number 6 here. View depth is how far it's rendering that image or grabbing the information from. So I'm going to say like our wall's 1 more inch above the view depth. And then I can see there's that ceiling that I couldn't see before. I'm going to continue and place the rest of my ceilings. That checks off our 8-foot and 10-foot ceilings. Then we're asked to add a generic 12-inch floor. Also, if you notice, we've already connected the outside walls to the roof, so we've done that. So we could actually continue with the ceilings. So we've checked off 1, 2, and 3, or 1, 2, and 4. Now we can add our generic 12-inch floor. Let's go to a floor plan view. Go to Floors. Choose the generic 12-inch floor. And then I'm going to use the pick walls again. I'm going to select the outside of each one of these walls. Again, like the roof, it has to be a complete enclosed profile. And then green check this when you're done. If I go to my 3D view, you should now see there's my floor along with my ceilings. And then you're asking, where's my roof? So to unhide an element that you've hidden, you go down to the bottom here. It says Reveal Hidden Elements. It's this little light bulb next to the glasses. Click on that. So it's showing any hidden elements. So my roof is in pink, which indicates it was a hidden element. Now I can select it, right-click on it, and unhide element. And if I click off of it, it's now gray, indicating that is no longer a hidden element. Click on the light bulb, and now my roof is back. Now we're also asking for not only to connect the outside walls, but to change the slope of the roof and with an overhang of 1 foot. And make sure the roof is hosted the 10-foot mark, which is our top of wall. It should be already, but let's ensure that's the case. If I select that roof, the base level is top of wall. Where's top of wall? Looking at my south elevation, my top of wall is at 10 feet. So this is correct. I'm going to go back to my roof plan. You're looking at this and going, this doesn't look right. Why is this rectangle in the middle of my roof? Again, it's our view range. Like the ceiling plan, we have to adjust how or where the cutting plane is for our roof plan. If I look at a floor plan, this will make a little bit more sense. So what you're seeing is the windows and doors in this plan. It's because the view range, scroll half down, view range is at 4'6" is our cut plane. That's about shoulder height. So it will be cutting through all the windows and doors, which is why we see that. If this was higher, let's say 7 feet, and apply, you'll see my doors disappear because it's now cutting above my doorways. I'm going to set it back to 4 feet. Or if it go even higher, I can't go higher than the actual top. Let's say 7'5". my windows go away because now the cut plane is above my windows and doors. So let's go back to our roof plan. Edit its view range. Now I want to set the view range a lot higher than the roof. You can go anywhere just to make sure I'm above that roof. I'm just going to set it to somewhere out in space, 100 feet up. And the cut plane also at 100 feet. Okay, so now I'm not cutting my roof. And then you'll see there's some extra line work here. Why is that there? It's because it's doing an underlay underneath the floor plan I'm looking at. So it's showing some of the floor plan underneath the roof plan. So looking at the floor plan's properties, under the underlay header, look at for range base level. I'm going to set this to none and apply. So now I don't have a ceiling from the level below showing. But now we're going to change the slope of this roof and change the overhang to 1. Double click on the roof to edit it. If I select on a wall, I should see that it says overhang 0 feet 0 inches. I could do one at a time or do them all at once. And the same thing for the slope is 9 inches per 12 inches. I'm going to do a window selection and select all the lines. And change my overhang to 1 foot. Hit enter. I see it's now moved out 1 foot from its original position. And then put in 3 inches for the slope. And I move my mouse on the outside area. I didn't have to hit enter. And then green check it. Would you like to attach the highlighted walls to the roof? I'm going to say no right now. First of all, it's not showing which highlighted walls, and I can't see what it's going to attach. In a lot of cases, you don't want Revit to do mass changes to your model. It's better to hit no in a lot of these cases. As you get familiar with Revit, you'll understand why you say yes or no to some of these mass changes to your models. In this case, I'm going to say no. I go back to my 3D model. I can see the slope of the roof is much lower. Let's go to my south elevation. So my slope is much lower. And now I want to make sure this top of roof is aligned with the top ridge of my roof. I'm going to go to Modify tab, use the Align tool, and we select the reference first, and then the item that we want to align to that reference, which is the top roof line or level. So we should have steps 1, 2, 3, and 4 completely done. 5 is already completed. We're going to ignore this 6 right now because this will be in the sheet setup. Now let's address option 9 here and 8. So 8 asks us to change some of the walls to different types. The north and south wall is going to be brick on CMU. Let's go to our floor plan, north and south wall. Hold down Control and select them both. Click on the type selector here and look for exterior brick on CMU. Exterior brick on CMU. And it should expand inward. Next, we'll select the 2 left and right walls, east and west, and change those to EFI on metal stud. Let's look at our 3D model again. Some things might have happened here. So now my floor is no longer to the outside of my walls. Let's correct that right now. Go to my floor plan. I'm going to hover over where I know the floor is, or we can use this option at the bottom here. Right now it has select element by face, and there's a red X on it. If I click on that, that allows me to select the floor directly. If So if I double click on it, it allows me to edit its profile. I can use the Align tool, click on my reference, the outside wall, click on the pink line, go around and correct the alignment of the floor to the wall, and green check it. While we're here, let's discuss about the detail level. Right now, at the bottom it says it's an 1/8 inch and the detail level is set to coarse. We're going to be changing this to 1/4 inch and setting it to fine. So now we can see all the detail work for these walls. So on step 9 here, or option 9, we want to change the joins for these outside walls. Right now, they should look somewhat similar to this, and we want to change it to a miter. Yes, we don't use a miter usually in construction, but this is just so I can see that you understand where the wall joins are and how to change them. So the wall joins is also in the Modify palette under Geometry. Click on Wall Joins. Hover over one of the corners and click it. And then in the options, we have the options to do a butt joint or a miter. We're going to select miter. And we see that it's going cutting diagonally. Do the same for all 4 corners. And that should complete 8 and 9. Now we're going to insert our custom title block that we had made earlier. So go to your sheets where it says Sheets All, right click on it, and select New Sheet. Click on Load, find your custom title block on your Z drive. Should be in your families. And here's my title block, Arch D. Hit OK. So it creates a new sheet. And let's start to populate some of these fields. Project name is the lake house. Let's enter an address of some sort. The date this project was issued. I don't know what the date would be in your case, but enter it as according to what you were issued as. The author will be you, your name there. So your name, well, put in your name. And the checker will be me, Joe Brown. Our first sheet in this set will be the plan views. So this will be called plan views. And the sheet number should be A101. So we've inserted our custom title block into the project. Now we're asked to tag all windows, doors, and rooms, and remove any annotations or room names that were placed from the previous thing. So before you had they had asked you to, on your floor plan view, use the text, which you may have had bathroom there, and also oops, let's undo that. There may have been some small text there. So go ahead, and if you have all that text there, select each one and delete it. Oops, I deleted my floor. So delete that. And then we're going to use the tags, or we're going to insert rooms into each of the areas on our floor plan. So we're going to go to the Architectural tab and look for room, not room tag, but room. So click that, place one in each of the areas that would make up a room. Now, you should be able to hover around the outside of the room tags and see an X. If you don't, make sure that you have the select element by face turned off. It'll have a red X on it. And then you'll be able to select the rooms themselves. So you have two ways of renaming these rooms, either by selecting the X and changing it in the properties, or by just double-clicking on the name itself. Do be careful with that double click. If you accidentally double click on the line work of the room tag, it may open up and you'll see this on your screen. This would be editing the family of that room tag. Do not do that. Click out the tab, don't save, and then make sure you click on the room tag itself, the actual room, the name itself. And I just did the same thing again. So this would be tagging our rooms. They don't necessarily have to be 1, 2, 3, 4 in that order. Just make sure you have the rooms tagged. Next, we're going to tag our windows and doors. So go to our Annotation tab and tag by category. For starters, I'm going to put the tags for the doors right on the doors themselves. So I'm going to tell it to not put a leader. So if I hover over a door, place it, and click on each door. And each door should have a different number. Now you'll note maybe in your case you might be missing a number. Don't worry about it this time. We'll talk more about that into a project 2 and how the door number should be. Next, I want to tag my windows, but I'm going to turn on the leader option by clicking in the properties bar here. Now your tag should be on the outside of the building. If it's not, I'm going to flip a window to show you what happens. If I try to tag by category and your tag ends up on the inside, that means your window's backwards. So make sure your windows are flipped correctly first to prevent a lot of extra additional work of moving tags around. So flip the windows, make sure they're correct. Annotate, tag, and then tag all your windows. Now you'll note the numbers are duplicating in a lot of areas. This means that all the ones that are of that same number are of the same type of window. Whereas doors, each one have their own individual number. This is because a lot of times doors have different hardware, different finishes, paint colors, and things like that on each side of it or within each room. So doors sometimes are more unique. So this completes tagging all the doors, windows, and rooms, and deleting the old annotations. And then we're going to be asked to place views on the sheets. So we still have to create some extra views. We already have our elevations. We just need to rename them. Instead of the north, south, east, west, we need to call north elevation, south elevation, and so forth, and be a little bit more descriptive. Then we need to create our 2 section views. One of the building and one of a wall, and 2 interior views, as well as creating 2 perspectives and a 3D view. So let's start by doing our 2D tail views. Those are the simpler ones to create. So go to Architectural tab. Oh no, actually View. Click on the one that looks like a house and click on Elevation. The type right now is called Building Elevation. We want Interior Elevation. So you'll note that as I get close to a wall, it points towards it. So I'm going to get one of my less boring window wall, and let's say one pointing towards where there would be a countertop and a bathroom. Looks like I got an extra exterior elevation here. Not sure how it got there. And now it's gone. Now the elevations have the elevation names near them. We normally do not have that on the plans. So I'm going to select the arrowhead itself, not the circle. Hit the edit type. In the line where it says half-inch circle, click on it. And click on the little button at the end with the 3 dots. Select the drop down and make sure you have elevation marked body circle filled arrow. And click out OK. And this is what you should have. Now I can click on each one of these to see that detail. The crop itself should only go from the inside, from the ceiling down to the floor. It shouldn't include the ceiling. So I'm going to bring this crop mark up. To include the just the FFE. Let's go to the bathroom one. Also the same thing. So this is my living room, south wall. And bathroom, north wall. While we're here, let's rename our elevations. This should be east elevation, north elevation, and so forth. A couple more other interesting facts about how the details work. You'll notice that if I look at that floor plan view again, when I click on the circle, actually if I click on the arrow, you'll see there's a line here. This line is where the view is cropped to from left to right. And then the other grip at the end is how far it's rendering the image. If I bring that back behind the windows, you'll see I won't see my windows. Make sure it includes the windows in the detail that you want to see. So now I should be able to see my windows again, and they're back. So our 3D view is going to be our isometric view. And now we'll insert a building section. I'm going to have my building section, go to Views, Section, and select Building as the type. I'm going to have it go through some interesting elements of the building. So at least a wall, a door, and another window. Then I'm going to move this so it goes to that window. So the elements on this allow us to change how the head and tail are displayed. So there's little circle arrows which cycle through a bunch of different options. So if I click it, there's no tail, there's a head and tail, so those are the three options. So the building section, I want the head to be on both ends. Again, like the detail view, there's how far it's rendering into, and then the little grips on the left and right are how far on the crop from left and right it's also rendering. The arrows point in the direction in which it's picking up the detail. If I double click on a head, escape once, you can see which way it's rendering. So there's my three windows. If I click to the head or select the line, click that little double arrow, like flipping doors and windows or walls. Now if I double click on that head, I see the opposite side of the room, and the window and the front entry door. So you want to make sure that at least this range here includes the far wall. Again, if I didn't have it include that window and door, I would see no window and door. Next will be a wall section. I'm going to pick another interesting detail, let's say one of these other walls here. So we'll go to our view again, section, do the drop down and select wall section. Draw a line. I'm going to flip it so it points up. I want to move the head off that too so we have some room for some annotations. Again, it's the same thing. Actually, I'm going to try putting it down here. For the wall section, we really only care about the wall itself. I don't care about the detail of the far wall. In other words, I don't care about that. There's a wall in the background here and another window. We can crop that in, the crop view, which brings up another point about the crops. For a lot of these views, we're going to have to be working on cropping our views and adjusting those. The wall detail itself also is going to be at 3/4 scale. So we'll change the scale to 3/4. We'll bring this crop down. And then click on the line itself and then bring the view range in to just include the wall and not the far wall. Now you'll note the difference between the building section and the wall section. The head is filled in versus not filled in. Also with building sections, you'll see there's a little jog here. Normally they don't like to have the cutting line go through the whole building, as this can sometimes interfere with other geometry and important features that you're trying to outline in this floor plan. So if you click on that, it breaks the line and allows you to bring the line back so it's less obtrusive on your plans by clicking the drags and shortening the line. If you're going to need to bring it back again, click the little zigzag to bring it back and join it. So now on the side of our project browser, we have building section, which is our longitudinal building section. So I'm going to rename this building section. And oops. Wall section. And call it a detail. So now that checks off all 4 elevations, building section, interior elevations, and the wall section. Next will be our two perspective camera views and the 3D view, which has already been created. So we go to, starting on our floor plan view, the easiest. Go to View, do the drop down underneath the little house, and select Camera. This is like a real camera, so we're replacing where the camera would stand first. So I'm going to start somewhere on the outside of our building, kind of far away. And click and place the camera, and then drag the target to the opposite side of the building. This is important. If I stop short, it would only render up to about this point, and only the front corner of the building. So it's going to go to the far side. And then it will go to that camera view. And this takes a little getting used to. There's a little steering wheel off on the right-hand side of the navigation bar. If I click that and move my mouse around, you'll see it stays connected to the mouse or magnetically connected to the mouse. You can choose options like move up and down. So if you click and hold and move your mouse up, you'll see it keeps repeating, going off the screen. Or you can look, which pivots the camera. Or orbit, which moves around the target or whatever you have selected. And then you have options of panning and walking and a bunch of other ways of navigating around your project. So this is going to be one of my, now in the 3D views, it says 3D view 1. I'm going to say this is the perspective from the northeast corner. Is that correct? Let's see here. So we're looking, this is my north, and this would be my east corner. So we have the camera going that direction. If you ever need to see that camera is placed in my view, you go to the floor plan view, right click on the camera view and say show camera, and it should show the camera in the view that you're currently in. Once you click off of it, the camera will disappear again. And I'll do one more camera view. I'll place it in the far corner of our living room, looking to the south wall where the windows are. Again, you can use the crop region to expand the view a little bit. Now, word of warning, if you start stretching this too far, it can be a little disorienting sometimes. Rename this. Living room. Living room, south wall. So whatever rooms you do choose and directions, do rename the views so they're descriptive of what they are. Now you'll notice I have a bunch of tabs here, and if you want to remove all those tabs and only leave the project open, a good little cleanup is this button up here. So it's close inactive windows. So the window I'm in is active. If I close that, it closes all of them except the window that I was in. That's if you get too many tabs open when you're working on your project. Now I'm going to go back to my plan view sheet. And let's insert the next 3 sheets. So I'll go to New. Your title block should already be loaded. So we select that. Title block. Add another A102. Do New sheet again. 103. So this sheet is going to be named Sections and Elevations. Now it says Sections and Elevations. The author is, don't forget to put your name in. Checker will be me. And the project information should already be there because you filled it in once, and that's across all pages. And then the last one may be renderings and perspectives. So we got our 3 sheets that we're going to be needing for this project. So let's start inserting your plan views. So with the 101 sheet active, I'll scroll up. Don't double click on the floor plan, but click and hold, drag it over, let up on your mouse, and then click to place it. Now this is where the fun begins with Revit, not really fun. You need to crop your views to include only the viewing portion that you're wanting to show of interest. So to get into a view, click on Modify. Double click inside where the view is, and this will activate it. And you'll see everything else is grayed out around it. If I double click outside of it, it deactivates it. Another method is to right click, hit activate view, or you can right click and deactivate view to get it back out of it. So there's 2 different methods, double clicking or right clicking and activate or deactivate, or double clicking out of it to deactivate it. I prefer just to double click in it to activate it. So with that on, we have 2 buttons we have to play with here. The crop view button, which is turned off, or the show crop region. So let's hit the show crop region, and we should see a bounding box around it. And the view is not being cropped right now, or it is being cropped. There's no red X on it. So if I click on that box, I can drag it in a little bit closer, or a lot closer, and you'll see the exterior elevation detail line, or exterior elevation tag has hidden itself. The way those work is wherever these lines are, if that line is not included in the crop box, they will be hidden. So once they go beyond that, it should disappear. Double click to deactivate it. Now our view title is way off the screen. So with the view deactivated and you have nothing selected, you can click and hold and drag the view title up. To change the length of that line, you select the view once and drag the line to make it shorter. And now when you click and drag the view title moves with it. I'm going to activate the view again and turn on or turn off the view of the crop region. That helps me to kind of visually see what's going on with my plan views. Next will be our ceiling plan view. Drag it over. I'll deactivate the view first. Drag the ceiling plan in, place it. Drag our roof plan over. I'm going to place it off the sheet so I have some room to work with here. And now I'm going to activate the roof plan. Turn on the visibility of the crop region. Drag it in close to the building. Deactivate it. Do the next one. Show the crop region. drag it in, deactivate it. Now I can also, I need to change my view scale, so I got to activate the view before I can change it to 1/4 inch. For both of those views. So drag your view in place first. I'm going to align it with the floor plan below with the witness line. Same thing with this one, align it so it's horizontally aligned with the ceiling plan. I'm going to turn off those crop region lines so I don't see them anymore. I'll select these two views by holding down Control and clicking on both of them and nudge them over a little bit. Now remember, when I select my title block, those two double lines on the inside are the edge of the paper or the edge of the graphic area before the printer may cut off the information. So make sure your buildings are within those regions or your views. Now, I don't need my building section lines in these two views up top, so I'm going to hide that category. Hide category. Hide, right click on it, select it, and category. I'm going to do this in both of the ceiling plans and roof plans. Now we got to get those view titles in place. So I'm going to select the view. Select the view, or actually deselect the view. So select the title, move it into place, aligning it with the title below. Select the view, drag the line. Select the title, move it into the place, in line with the other one. Select the view, shrink the line. Now, as extra credit, and I'll address this later, is we ask you to fully dimension this floor plan. And I'll do that later at the end of this video, but I'll be doing the layout first as part of the Project 1. So that completes our first sheet, the plan views. Next, we'll be adding our elevations, building sections, interior elevations, and wall sections onto the second sheet. So go to your second sheet. So we're adding on our floor elevations. Oh, we're going to have a lot of fun cropping here now. Let's line it. Let's put our north and south underneath one another, west underneath another. Our wrong button. Where are we? Building sections, interior elevations. Put the interior elevations next to each other. And it looks like you're going to have to adjust your scale for all these views to be 1/4. A building section. Looks like we already set that to 1/4. And a wall section detail. I'm going to activate this view. This one should be at fine as well. And all these should be set I'm going to select all 4 and change its scale to 1/4 inch. Boom. So all 4 of them are done at the same time. Now we gotta go through and select and crop all these views and drag them apart so I can see which view is where. So let's activate this first one. Double click it, turn on the crop region, bring it in, crop region, and as you see, this is the tedious point of Revit. Bringing in all these crop regions so there's consistency between all the views. So for this project, I'm going to hide these building sections. Hide category. Hide category in those 2 views. So now we're going to start aligning all these views on the sheet. Still have to do some more cropping. Now I can bring these views onto the sheet and line them up. Try to align your views in line with one another. I can see that witness line there. Let's bump that up. Where's that edge of that sheet? Right there. So I'm right on the edge almost. Bring this view in. Is that lined up? And I see something's not looking right here. That should line up with one another. Sometimes I'll use the edge of my screen as a way to make sure that things are lining up. So I can see on the left side here, those are lining up. These are not lining up. That's much closer. I need a little bit more space between these 2 views. Nudge them over with the arrows. Now we can start working on the view titles, getting them in place. So nothing selected. Get my view title into place here. Now let's turn off these crops on these views. So if I double click in each one, turn off the crop. we go. Nothing selected, so get the view bar into place. Select the view, drag the line. Drag the title, select the view, drag the line. Select the title. Select the view, drag the line. Select the title, click the view, drag the line. Noticing that I'm lining up and making everything consistent between all the views. Oops. Yeah, that one's the same length as the one above it. Just trying to make it look neat. These two. Move them up a little bit towards the views they're associated with. So these two, I'm going to make sure that their levels are aligned with one another. So the FFE is lined up across. So there's our building section. Let's just align this a little bit better here. So as you see, it takes a lot of work to manipulate these drawings and make them look neat. So that completes our second sheet. Everything's within the view. Oop, nope, so that's getting cut off there maybe. So let's move everything up on the sheet. So if I select all the views, let's nudge them up. So that now that's not going to get cut off in the bottom here. And this is right on the, now those views might be getting cut off. Nudge them down. Nudge them down. So now everything's within the graphic area. So that's our second sheet is complete. Third sheet. We're going to place our isometric view and two perspectives. These two perspectives will be set to realistic. So double click in them. And in the view style, we'll change it to realistic for both. Now, if you want to create or make one of the views larger, it's a little different than the scale and perspectives. So once you select it, you get a size crop option up top. And then you'll choose the scale option and then change it. So it was at 6 inches before. If I go to 12, let's double the size. Let's hit apply, see what that looks like. And that looks like that's going to work for this view. Let's try this one. 6 inches, so it's at 10 inches high, or the width scale. Let's make the height like 6 inches. That'll still work. So we'll move our view title down. Now you'll notice these view titles also have numbers. As another extra credit point, we'll talk about how to remove those numbers. So here's my isometric view. New in 2019, they've added these view levels. We're going to hide those. Hide category. And then I've asked you to hide the roof and ceilings. So we're going to hide category of the roof. And hide the category of the ceilings. So all the ceilings will be hidden. Now perspective is based upon the scale to make it larger or smaller, unlike the crop or the perspectives. So if I go to 3/16, it's a little larger. Let's turn on the crop region. Where is it? It's right there. That's okay. So again, move the title, select the view, shrink the line. Select the view, shrink the line. Select the view, shrink the line. Again, fill in the author, your name there. Checkers me, JB. Oops, I double clicked on the sheet. So double clicking on the sheet will open it to edit the family itself. I'm not going to save its changes. There we go. So that's the basics for Project 1. Now we've asked to add dimensions for extra credit. So if we go to the floor plan, go to annotate and use the align dimension. I'm going to start on the far wall. So instead of center lines, I'm going to say faces. And then click on each element as I go across. So the center of the door, the first wall face, center of the window, center of my door, first wall face, center of the window, and then the last face of the outside exterior wall. And then do the walls only. And then the overall dimension for the whole exterior structure. Now we'll probably have to adjust the placement of our views because now these dimensions are there. So I start with the exterior of the face, the window, first instance of the wall, next window, outside face of the wall. These are going to get in the way of those lines there. Same thing, only the walls and the overall of the floor plan. Now, I usually don't put the head on the inside, but this will clean it up, make it look a little neater by putting just the tail. And since these are ending up right on the dimension lines, I'm going to drag them and jog them off like so. Just to clean it up. Again, fully dimension the outside here. Starting wall, window, outside wall. And part of the dimensioning also is to make sure you have no fractions. Do the bottom. And don't need the overall on that, since we already have the overall on the tops and bottoms. Bring in the heads on these. And again, adjust my tags for my windows, making sure they're all lined up with one another. Now let's talk about getting some of this stuff cleaned up. Our existing floor plan. So let's start adjusting these dimensions. Let's start with the placement of the walls first and worry about the windows last and the doors. So looking at these walls, I'm going to refer back to my existing plan of the PDF. So 11.1, 16.11, and 20 feet. So let's start by adjusting this wall. So you select the thing you want to move, then click the dimension that will move it, 20 feet. The next dimension was 16.11. So click the thing we want to move, click on the dimension to move it, and then 1 is left. We don't have to adjust that dimension. Let's go from the bathroom down. 7.8. 7-8. This should already be correct because it was based off the wall above it. And this wall, I'm going to ask you to put it at 12'10", and then it'll be left with 13.2. 12'10". Now let's start with these living room windows. I'll show you a little trick here. So we want the windows to be 3/6 from either side, and then we want it to be centered in the room. Let's say you didn't know what these dimensions were at first when you're planning this out. So we can use our dimension tool. Go to the center, the wall face, the center of the window, and the far wall face. And then you'll see this little EQ symbol above the 2 dimensions. If I click that, it'll center the window. And then all we have to do is adjust each window on each side to be 3'6" from one another. So now I can select, delete this dimension. I don't need any more. We're unconstraining that dimension once it's deleted. We don't need its constraint of the equality being left behind. So we're going to move it a little bit. So select that window, or select the outside window, the dimension between it, 3-6. Select this window, the dimension between it, 3-6. Now we see that there's an 1/8 inch left on each side. If I select the dimension, I'm going to lock the 3'6" between both of these windows with a little padlock by clicking on it. Now I'm going to click the far window. Instead of it being 11 foot and 1/8, I'm going to nudge the dimensions so it's in even inches. So it'll be 11 feet. Now it moved these 2 windows with it because these 2 dimensions were locked, so it pulled the other 2 windows with it in a sense. So now that 1/8 of an inch is now gone. So we use the dimension to center up a window on a wall, and then we also use the locking option to move some windows in a group in a sense. 6'6" for the, so at the bottom corner here, it's 6'6" for the first window, 3'6" for the next window. So select the window, select our dimension, 6'6", 3-6. Now these are all 4 feet from the corners. Now those 2 are correct. And there's another annoying thing in Revit is its temporary dimensions it places in there can sometimes get in the way. So you have to zoom in, click on it to get them out of the way because they do interfere with it. As you can see, the 4'6" is not the same as the 3'11" and 7/8. I want to use my dimension as the one to drive it. 4. I just have a few more dimensions to go. So this window, let's say we want it 1'11", 1-11. The door is 3'6", and the next window is 3'6". Okay, so we're almost done with our dimensions. Door 3-6, 3-6. And then we have to deal with these doors on this wall here. It'll be 9'4", 4'2", and 9'3". So 9'3" on the bottom one, 9'4" on the top one. Starting on the inside face, we go to our door, door, face. 9'3", 9'4". And now we see all of our dimensions are in nice inch increments all the way around. I'm going to try to bring this in a little bit more so we have some room. Note that the dimension spacing is equal between one another all over the place. You'll notice as you drag a dimension, it'll kind of want to snap when it's close to another dimension. This is like a standardized spacing of your dimensions. And Revit will do its best to make them the same amongst one another as you drag them around. So I'm going to go back to my A1 sheet plan. And it looks like it's close. My one dimension is going over top of my view name. So I'm going to have to bump this up so I have some room. Drag my view name down. And I forgot my slopes on my roof. So activate that view. Go to the Annotate tab, spot slope, and place it on the 4 roof panels. Now I'm going to go back to removing the view numbers off of these 3 views here. And then also address the view numbering. So we should do a Z pattern where we go 1, if there's a view here, it'd be 2, 3, 4, and so forth. So it's going to be in a Z going from the bottom left to right, up to left to right, up, left to right, in that pattern, kind of a Z. These are already correct. Let me check my sheet 2. So my first view on here should be 1. So if I select the view, go over to its properties and try to put 1 in, it says the detail number is already taken. Why? Because my first view on the sheet was probably, there we are, east elevation. So I got to play musical chairs with the view numbers. So I'm going to say, let's make this 20. Let's go around and change all the view numbers to a larger number than what they currently are. Let's put a 0 at the end. And then, after you've renamed everything, now I can change this to 1. Then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the last one 8. Oops. So let's remove these view numbers here. It's not as straightforward. We basically have to create another view title family. The viewport is its own family. So if I go to the edit viewport and hit edit, you're going to see it says view title, and the other option is none. So it's either title or no title. We want to have a viewport or view title with no number. So remember, like the title block or clicking in the room tags, it opens up the tag. So kind of the same thing here. Well, actually, that doesn't work. You can't double click on it and open it. So I'm going to go all the way down just under Sheets, find Family, and under the Annotations and Symbols, expand that. Find the View title, right-click on it, and hit Edit. And it will open up the view title for editing. First step before you do anything, do a File, Save As, Family, save it in your Families folder on your Z drive. I'm going to name this as View Title No Number. So each of the families was based upon the name of the file when it was imported. So if I say View Title No Number, I already had one there, so I'm going to overwrite it. I'm going to highlight the circle and the number and delete it. And then load it into project. So that loaded the new one into my project. Also, I probably need to go back to that view title. Hit save so I have it later on. And then I can close it out. Now we go back to our sheet 3. Select the viewport, hit edit type, and like everything else, we duplicate it before we make a modification to it. So this is going to be a viewport. No number. And now when we do the drop down, we have the view title with no number that we loaded into our project. So now the view has no number on it. Select the view, and now we have our family with viewport no number for your other views. Now this should complete your Project 1 and all the steps necessary. Let's turn off this one last region. The regions don't print anyways, but it's just visually trying to see what's going on in your sheets. It's easier to turn them off. There we go. So now it's ready to be printed or printed to a PDF.